All right, we'll go ahead and get started now. Let's go to, we're going to watch a short video in the first block. Um, let's see. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of Ira Glass before. He does, he's with This American Life, which of course started out as, it still is radio, but they have really just taken off with podcasting. And and you might recognize his voice. So he's pretty well known in that realm. So we're going to watch this short video where he's just talking about kind of the building blocks of storytelling, and he kind of touches on what I like, because I say from day one, kind of throw out everything you've learned about formal writing in, all your English classes. Since we're getting into script writing, since this week has been so short, that's why today is just going to be a short class. We'll just really get into all of that Monday with the stories you all decided to stack in our rundown. I'm so sorry I keep yawning. I was up so late I did not even look at the clock when I went to bed because I did not want to know how little sleep I was getting. At any rate, this is a short video where he just kind of talks about the difference. And you hear me talk all the time about we write in broadcast writing, we write how we talk. Anyway, without further ado, let me play him, because he'll say it much more eloquently than me.
I mean, one of the things I think is really important if you're making stories for television or radio is that you understand the building blocks of the stories. And there are different ways to think about this. One of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to think about it the way that you learned in high school, which is in high school, we're all taught that the way that you write is that there's like a topic sentence and then there's like the facts which fill out the argument. In broadcasting, it's completely different. In broadcasting, I think you have two basic building blocks, and they're very powerful, and you can use them as you will. And one is the anecdote. And an anecdote is literally just a sequence of actions. If you think of it as just like, what is a story in its purest form? A story in its purest form is somebody saying, this happened, and that led to this next thing, and that led to this next thing, and that led to this next thing, like one thing following another. And some of the things in the sequence can be, and that made me think of this, and then I said this. Like there could be thoughts and ideas as part of it, but like one is leading to the next, leading to the next. And the power of the anecdote is so great that no matter how, in a way, like no matter how boring the material is, if it's in a story form where there's an anecdote happening, and then he said this to me, and then I went here, and then I came downstairs, and I thought, like, what the hell? Like, it has a momentum in and of itself that no matter how boring the facts are, like I'm trying to think like okay, there's, if you try to think like the most boring possible story, okay, there's a guy and he wakes up and he's lying there in bed and the house is very, very quiet, just unearthly quiet. And so he sits up and he puts his feet on the floor and he walks to the door of his bedroom, and again, just very, very quiet. Walks down the stairs, looks around, just unusually quiet. Now, like this is like what I'm telling you is the most boring possible fact pattern, and yet there's suspense in it. It feels like something's going to happen, and the reason why is because literally it's a sequence of events. Like this guy's doing this thing, he's moving from space to space. You can feel through its form that when you have one thing leading to the next, leading to the next, you can feel inherently that you're on a train that has a destination and that he's going to find something. And so one of the most powerful things you have to figure out is like, do you just start with the action, or should you just start with the action? In general, you want to start with the action, or you often do. So that's one of your building blocks. The other thing that little anecdote has is that it's raising a question from the beginning. And that's the other thing that you want, is you want bait. You want to constantly be raising questions. So in that little story, the bait is that the house is very quiet. And so the question hanging in the air is why? And it's implied that any question you raise, you're going to answer. And so again, that's another thing you want to manipulate. You want to be constantly raising questions and answering them from the beginning of the story. And that the whole shape of a story is that is that you're throwing out questions to keep people watching or listening and then answering them along the way. Okay, so you have the building block, which is like the actual sequence of actions, the anecdote part of it, that this thing happened and then this thing and then this thing. That's one building block. Then the other big building block, your other tool, is that you have a moment of reflection. And by that I mean, at some point, somebody's got to say, here's why the hell you're listening to this story. Like, here's the point of the story. Here's the bigger something that we're driving at. Here's why I'm wasting your time with all this. And one of the things that's very, very unfortunate for people who are launching into the kinds of jobs that all the people who are making video pods are launching into. One of the things that's so very sad, and it's like the bane of my existence, and it's the bane of anybody's existence who does this kind of work, is that often, you know, you have the two parts of this, the two parts of the structure. You've got the anecdote and you've got the moment of reflection. And often you'll have an anecdote which just kills. It's just so interesting. Like, this thing happens and it leads to the next and it leads to the next, and it's so surprising, and so many things happen. You meet these great characters and it means absolutely nothing. Like, it's just completely predictable. It doesn't tell you anything new. And so that's one huge problem. And then the other huge problem is you got a kind of boring set of facts, or boring story, right? That actually, like, somebody actually has something kind of interesting to say about it. And so actually, I think a lot of us, when we're beginning, we get caught in the problem of, we know we've got something here. We know that there's something here that's kind of compelling, but it just doesn't seem to be coming together. And often it's your job to be kind of ruthless and to understand that either you don't have a sequence of actions, you don't have the story part that works, or you don't have a moment of reflection that works. And you're going to need both. And in a good story, you're going to flip back and forth between the two. Like, there'll be a little bit of action and then someone will say something about it, and there'll be a little more action, someone will say something. And that's really like a lot of the trick of the whole thing, you know, is to have the perseverance that if you've got an interesting anecdote, that you also can end up with an interesting moment of reflection that will support it. And then the two together, interwoven in, 3 minutes or 6 minutes, or however long your story is, will make something that's larger than the sum of its parts.
All right. So another word that I use is a hook. What's the hook? Which also goes into what we've already talked about, the who cares method of deciding if you're even going to do that. So once you decide who cares, give them that hook, bait them in to make them want to know more. And then he kept talking about ask and answer a question. In broadcast, don't ever leave people left wanting more questions unanswered. I used for the example, this was a few years ago, and there was a car that had, I think the person maybe accidentally, an older person, hit the gas instead of putting their car in reverse, and the car crashed into a building. And I may have shared this example with y'all before, but the reporter was out there live and kept saying, oh, a car crashed into the whole front of this building. And I kept, and they did say it was on Nicholasville Road. Okay, wow, that gives me a lot of information. I mean, the biggest stretch of, business road in our area. And I kept looking, I was looking in the background, never once said what the business was. I mean, and again, that's just a curiosity thing. Like, what business had a car run through it? So then I was looking, because I'm just so curious. And I was looking in the background. I'm like, okay, I see that across the street. That looks like that Denny's over there by the Kroger shopping center where Michael's and the pet store and all that. So that's across the street. Okay, what's across the street? Then finally in the very background, I could see on the wall of the business, it said Belltone. So it was a hearing aid place. So probably an old person that had left there and had an accident. But I thought, this young reporter has left one of the basic tenets out of who, what, where, when, what, where did this happen? So again, pretty simplistic stuff, but it just build on it, as he said. And then again, I say this all the time, beginning, middle, and end. Set it up, give me the information, wrap it up. Okay, so when we start writing our scripts here for our shows, kind of think of those simple terms: set it up, tell us, wrap it up. Okay, so are there any questions about that? Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay, so I told you that was going to be short. That was first block. So we're going to move on to second block and look at our rundowns. Hopefully y'all took a sneak peek of a sneak peek yesterday. Let's see here. And we're just going to take a look and see what it's shaping up to look like. All right, why is that not popping up? Let's see here. Come on. And then see if we want to add anything. Share. There we go. Okay. All right, so here's the rundown that we have started. So again, I think we kind of briefly, when I attempted to do a little broadcasting last semester, briefly showed you what a rundown looks like, but it has the columns. The far left is your page number. The reason it says A1, A2, A3 is because that's the blocks. So your first block is the A block. Then you would have a commercial block, commercial break, which we're going to stick in some of the PSAs that you all have done. Then we have the B block, which is the second, and so on and so forth. So again, we're not going to have too many because we're starting out small. And then the second block is where we're going to write who we call it the talent, but who's going to be on camera. So we're going to decide, and I'm going to ask y'all here in a minute who has interest in this for this first go round. But who are going to be our anchors? I'd like 2 people. Ethan has his own segment, so the anchors would enter. And now for our mental health minute, Ethan would come in and give his mental health minute if he wants to be on camera. Now, of course, you could always do do it where it's just a voiceover, and here's Ethan and then it's just him doing a voiceover, or he can be on cam. That's up for us to decide. Now, you'll see here, then we have the titles. And then, so here, I'm going to use his as an example. So let's say he doesn't want to be like an anchor. We just want him to toss to what we would call a package. So he has pre-recorded a voiceover. So what we would do is we would add, mental health intro. Anchors would read it here. If it's something self-contained with just his voiceover and not Ethan on camera, then we would call that a package because it's self-contained. So these are just the little things we decide. So that's what that is, telling us. And again, we'll go over more what all these vocabulary things mean. And then here, how long is it? Now, right now, when we're going to be getting all of our components, and everyone's going to be recording them at home, and we're going to be editing it into a show and not at school, directing it, like punching it up as if it were live. So that's called recording as if live. So that's what all the late night talk shows do. Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, all those guys, they record their programs as if they were live. So, because they're late night, they're not, at the studio live at, 11:30 at night, but they record it as if it were live, so if any mess ups, that's in the show. So the runtime is more director cues, how long stuff's going to run. So we're not going to worry about that right now. And then 2, here's another thing. We will, because we're all recording at home, this is not going to mean as much because, again, these are more director cues of when we're in the studio and have a 3-camera setup. Do we want 2 people in that shot, 1 shot, all that kind of good stuff. So for this beginning, we're not going to worry pretty much about those last 2 columns. So with that, hopefully that all makes sense. Oh, my foot's gone to sleep. That's the worst feeling. Um, oof. So good morning, Susie. We're already on second block. We're combining classes today because they're super short today. So looking at our rundown now, here's kind of what I've put together. We're going to do kind of an umbrella intro, then go into explaining the matrix, of which, remind me before we go, I need to talk to y'all about that. And then, so we'll just pop up kind of a graphic with the screen, then tag. Then we're going to go into the vaccines. And so a little intro, and then a video, which I am getting my vaccine Tuesday. So when I'm in the parking lot, I'm just going to I'll shoot some video of, the location, which is Kroger Field. And I'll just get some video of that. I have noticed that, because friends, and maybe y'all have seen this, people are like taking their picture, and even on UK, it's like, if you get a picture, tag us and be entered for a prize. So I'll probably be able to get at least a picture of me in there that we can put into the VO. So we can add that. Then obviously like-minded things. So health leads into health. Then you all had mentioned some of these things, so we'll just do a quick wrap up of the week. I don't know if any of y'all saw that, and hopefully someone will replay it, but last night they did, and like all the, pretty much all there was one that I flipped over that wasn't running it, but like ABC, NBC, CBS, like pretty much everybody ran the same, it was called Celebrating America. So instead of the inauguration where they go to all those fancy balls, they had a pre-recorded concert, and they had all these different artists performing, and Tom Hanks hosted in front of the Lincoln Memorial. It was really good. Really nice entertainment. Alrighty, so with that, so we'll do a little wrap up there. Then the branded manatee that someone had suggested as a story idea, that fits in there because it has to do, someone put Trump's name on it. And then with that, is there anything else that you all think should be put in that first block? Have any other ideas popped into your head, or you've overheard in the last couple days since we did story ideas? Okay. So then, as I said, we'll pull one of the PSAs y'all made last semester and insert that. Then Tyrone was going to do his sports. So we'll put that in there. And then we're going to go, I think for now, especially since we're really trying to get this, gosh, my foot, get this really done off the ground. And I'm going to be delivering a little roll of green green paper to y'all. I am sorry. Whew. Sleepy foot. Hurts. So I guess with that, I was going to say, usually at the end after sports, we'll do one more thing, like a feel-good kicker, fun. Could be our news of the weird. It could be just a funny little something that's happened anywhere. Maybe we leave with that's what I do want y'all to do. I want y'all to think of something that maybe we can make as our consistent end of the show. So it could be a thought of the day. It could be, as I said, what we used to call in the business a kicker, which is something lighthearted. We always joke it's the squirrels on water skis segment is what our joke used to be. It's just that segment where people find video of something cute and funny, oh, look at that, a squirrel water skiing. Silly little videos like that, just to feel good and make people smile and laugh. So anyway, just something you want to always leave on a positive note. So with that, anyone, I know we're missing a couple people, but Tyrone's going to do sports. We got Ethan doing his segment. Do I have anyone, any volunteers? I'd like to that would like to be our main anchors on this. So sort of the faces of the show.
I can be an anchor.
Thank you. I was hoping you'd say that. Okay. Anyone else? So I'm just gonna put. I'll go back in and do the exact ordering. Anyone else? Tristan? Anyone? Susie? Be thinking about it, y'all. By Monday, be thinking about it, but I'd like one other person. And then I went up to school yesterday and started getting stuff together. And so I'll have the rolls of that green butcher paper. So, you can just tape it up to a wall or a door or something in your house. And then, you can just use your computer just like I'm sitting right now, but with that piece of green paper behind you, you can record it. And then that way we will have some consistency. I also thought, since we had trouble last semester just really pulling this off, I have it better thought out now. Some of the segments, like Amaya and her Golden Girls, and some of the other segments that some of y'all had recorded already last semester, I thought we can stick some of that stuff into this real one now. So won't do the Amaya's this go round, since she's going to be an anchor, and it would look weird with her, looking like she's on a set and then tossed into that. But I was kind of looking back about what we had gathered last time, and we had some stuff that I'll make a list to remind everybody what we had, so we know what we can use to put into to our next show. So that's pretty much it right now. So again, tomorrow, I'll probably just put a little note reminder. I'm not giving you all any more work because it's Friday, and B, we're kind of at a spot where the rest of the stuff is, I don't want to, we need a few days in a row to get that stuff going. So tomorrow, again, just check for any announcements. If you, and I'm not going to have the weekly reflection tomorrow because it's been such a short week and short classes and all that. So just check to make sure I don't have any announcements, any reminders. Again, if you're still happen to be missing anything, go back in. Let's use that as a last chance to do that. I'm almost all caught up. That's my my goal this semester, is to get way better about making sure everything's, at the end of the week, that I'm caught up with all grades that have been submitted. So let's do that. So lastly, what I was going to tell you about the learning matrix. So you may or may not have heard or gotten the text messages or the voicemails or the emails from Fayette County that, because every Tuesday they look at our numbers, and they have now extended us one more week into virtual. However, and I will know more tomorrow. I have a staff meeting tomorrow morning at 9:00, and I was already looking at the agenda, and we are going to look at those targeted services days where we can bring small groups in. I think I was allowed up to 3 or 4 at a time. So we're looking at that maybe that first week of February, I think is what it said. Again, I'll know more tomorrow. I'm not going to make any promises right now till I know the facts. But point being, that's exciting, because that means I can get some of y'all back, and we can actually get in the studio in small groups and recording in the studio and having a total blast. Secondly, this was kind of exciting and it'll hopefully make you all feel better if you happen to have any apprehensions. When I was in my room yesterday, Ms. Parks, our basically assistant principal, but her title's administrative dean. She was up there, and there's this like big, it almost looked like a giant size space heater. And I looked at it and I'm like, what is that? Why is that in my room? They have purchased, and I don't know if this is, hopefully it's district wide, but definitely at our school, every single teacher got these air filtration machines. As I said, it just looks like a giant, like it comes up to maybe my knees, air filtration, and it sucks in it. Kendrick, hush. Shh, come here. Sorry. Come here. Come. It cleans the air. So, hush. Give me a minute, Kendrick. It cleans the air. So that was really cool. I was excited to see that. So, if you have any concerns, hopefully it made me feel better. I'm like, that's really cool that we have that in there to circulate and clean. I don't know how it works, but anyway, it's good. So with that is all I have today. So do you all have any questions before I let you go? And as I said, this is a combined class today. You do not have to come back at 9:20. We are done for the day. So any questions?
No.
Okay. All right, you all. Well, as I said, check for announcements tomorrow.